call to order the meeting of the Park and Recreation Board of the City of Belleville Beach, this is the meeting notes, February 10th at 3 o'clock. So our secretary called off today, so Kelly's going to be so kind as to take the minutes today. Do you mind calling roll call, please?
Tammy.
Here.
Deborah. Here. I know your name. I know his name. Kyle.
Here.
And George.
Here.
Welcome back, George. We missed you.
Well, I don't know how long I'll stay here, but
But it's not going to be a long meeting, so
no, I mean, how many times I'm trying to get my vaccination.
it's hard.
That's something we should organize here.
Yeah, I am having a hard time doing it for my dad, so it's just difficult. And you need so much personal information, it would be hard to organize. But anyway, okay, so we have quorum, so we can move forward with the meeting. First, order of business today, could I please have approval of agenda?
Make a motion, we approve. the
Make a
agenda.
motion. Yes, can I make a motion to approve the agenda, please? Yes. Deb, may I have a second, please?
Second.
All right, so agenda for today has been approved. Can I please have someone approve the minutes from the last meeting, January 6th? May I have a motion? Approved. Deb first.
Second.
Kelly seconded.
All those in favor, aye.
All in favor, everyone, sorry, I'm a little out of it today. Yes, thank you. George, you should run the meeting today because my head is somewhere else. Item number 3 on the agenda, is there any citizen comments for today? Anyone?
Well, the only thing I said earlier to Kelly was, in the past, there was some conversation going around. I know there's a pavilion set up for here. And we always thought that a pavilion at the 16th Street Park and Belle Isle Park would be something that would be nice to put on the agenda for the future. So this way the people in those two areas, I mean, we've got some pocket parks between, the other one's on 19th, right around there, and the other one up
25th.
around 25th. But it would be nice for the people in between 13th and 18th to have a park and pavilion. And again, Belle Isle has no pocket parks or anything, so the largest area for them, and just to go there and sit and relax and whatever.
Is there room for one?
I beg pardon?
Is there space for it?
Yes, the parks are big enough to have a pavilion put in. Maybe not as big as this one, but smaller. Just a place, a couple of seats, kind of put in the round pavilion with
Like
a
with a cover, like
with
the
a
one
cover
at
over it,
Gordon
right,
Park?
like you have on the beach. So just an idea for the future.
I think it's a good idea. I do too. So you can bring it up, so Lynn would be the one
What?
to say.
Well, that's something that you'd have to vote on and bring it up
Right.
and then
Oh, no, that's what I mean.
present it to the council.
For sure.
And then maybe in the future, we're gonna have our budget meetings coming up. So when they want to address things to put on the budget, that would be something to present to the council or suggest to put it in on the budget for the future. Some stuff. And any other project you may think of, That's all.
You're Mark, Ben?
Mark.
Mark?
Mark.
Sorry.
No, that's a great idea. I don't know the exact process of how, because I know he's got 4 or 5 projects going right now, and I don't know if there's a list in queue, but it would be a great one to put in front of the council.
Well, it'd be listed, when you do your presentation to council, and that would be good. And if you have anybody that lives in those areas that you could contact that would maybe support your ideas. And then the budget would say, the council would say during the budget meetings that they're going to be having, okay, we're going to put this on the budget, and then every year we'll put a little money aside. And then Lynn or Kyle, every once in a while, they'll run across a good grant, and it may relate to something like that they can put the grant toward the park. And then if there's something in the budget that we've already started, then money could be used for those things. So,
Kyle, how much would something like that really cost?
cost-wise,
Definitely less than 50.
well, this is a large one, so I don't know.
Yeah, we figured like if you get a matching, we figured what 50 for a large gazebo. For just a shelter, I'm thinking like more around 20 to 30. Like if you're talking like Morgan Park,
Right. Something like that. It's not a big one.
yeah.
And
And
20
then
to
most of the grants
30,000.
are, if you can get them, they're 50% matching.
So if you get a grant, it's half and half. So, you know, if you get the money from the state, so half of that money. So it wouldn't take that long to put money aside to do that. It may take a couple of years, but you have got a plan for it. Then they can start looking for the grants that would help pay for that.
Right, it would be a great thing too to put on the survey once they get everybody's emails.
Right, you're right, and then whatever response you get from the survey would just document what you want to do, and that would, you know, the city manager and the council would look at this during their budget hearing meetings and say, hey, we've got some interest from the community, the park board has suggested it, it's been talked about, and see where it goes.
That's a great idea.
Just an idea.
Is that something that the people that live in that, what'd you say, what street was
It's
it?
at 16th Street in Belle Isle.
16? Is that something that people there want?
I have no idea, that's why we need a survey. I really don't know anybody that, I mean, maybe one person I know that lives down that way, one or two.
It seems to me we're really early in this process and that we need to, I mean,
I can't understand you, George.
we're really early in the process.
Yeah.
And to assign just one street, 15th Street, there may be other streets that are more people that live in that area want something. And other areas don't want something. And so we have to find that feedback from the community.
That's why I said survey as opposed to asking people that we know that live on that street. Because one, like we may or may not know people, and two, we get everybody's input. So it would be good to get it on something where we get more than one opinion like you're suggesting.
Yeah. And more than one park site.
Yeah.
Out of 13 parks, maybe, who knows how many might be interested. And that changes the money expenditure.
That's true.
There was another idea, I'm sorry I sat down, but where the county fence ends over here, if you brought a fence to the corner of City Hall with a gate in it, and that would keep a lot of dogs or people with walking dogs away from the park. And again, if you have any affair out here, like a small wedding, it would keep people from getting into the wedding or mingling or walking through an affair if you had anything here. And if any children are playing in the park, it would prevent them from running.
Into
On
the
the
street.
Causeway
Yeah,
Boulevard.
that's-
It's just a thought.
Has that ever been discussed in the past? Do you remember?
There were some minor discussions on it that I had with the other board, but
I didn't know if it would be like a visual, like a, you know, kind of like right there along the street.
well, it'd be diagonal, you know,
Diagonal.
however it would work. Arch, diagonal, zigzag. Just, if somebody thought there was any validity to it, fine, you know. just
So you want to
something.
prevent people and dogs?
Well, you got a lot of walkers that go through here with dogs, and there's been a lot of, you know, occasionally residue left on the park. But mainly it's for safety for kids. If there's any kids, or if you've got a wedding out here, it keeps people away from the wedding party. As well, if there's any children playing in here, it keeps them from running or darting out into the causeway. I mean, if it's an important thing, or somebody says forget it, well, that's another story.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something to put up there and see how much interest there is in, and like if there's budget for it.
Okay. Thank you.
So, thank you. Appreciate your input. Okay, so agenda item number 4. So the Bel Air Beach We Love Our City donation program, Lynn was able to get me, this isn't really anything like Bel Air specific, but he was able to get me 2 different forms of documentation on how you form a nonprofit in Florida. So I'm going to do a little bit more research on this, and because it isn't going to be anything we're going to kick off until possibly like May. So just, does anybody have anything you want to contribute to this? Because what Lynn suggested was I talk to maybe the chairperson of the one in Bel Air, because they do a lot of things in Bel Air similar to what we've talked about. And so just maybe a little input on one, how they did it, because just basically we would have to set up a new committee, and there would have to be members, and you have to file it with the state, and there's like a $50 fee to file it, and maybe like a $150 fee to form your nonprofit. And so there's a number of steps that you have to follow. It's not painful by any means. It's kind of like setting up an LLC for a business, but it's just you have to follow it step by step. So we just need to make sure that we want to move forward with this project, that we have people, it could be us, or it could be other people in the community that might be interested in being on this committee. They could do different types of things if we do want to move forward with it. I know Nora was a big component of this program, so I was hoping she'd be here today, but they were supposed to come yesterday, so maybe next meeting. So is there any input anybody wants to throw into this program for today? Agenda item number 5. Okay, so last Monday, I presented to the city council, so our 4 events that we as a group voted on the January meeting. So I don't want to say they tentatively passed it, we only voted on the May 15th Jazz in the Park, / picnic. But to be COVID friendly, obviously everybody would be spread apart. The band would be here, the jazz band would be set up here, it would be kind of set up like a wedding, and everyone would be kind of spread out everywhere. So even if they wanted to sit down on the beach, they could still hear the music, they just wouldn't be around people. So it's, they bring all their own food. I did actually have some input calls from some citizens suggesting that were at the meeting, so they heard the presentation, that we don't bother with even providing desserts or beverages, because we talked about maybe having a beverage area where we gave out bottles, individual bottles of water and tea and pop or whatever, and then had individually wrapped desserts. She was kind of that's a waste of time, money, resources. Everybody can bring their own desserts in their picnic basket. They're bringing it anyway. They can bring what they like. My only thought was to maybe set up like a hydration station, so it's if someone didn't bring enough water and they started, just so they had water if they needed it. Maybe with a little first aid station, nothing elaborate. If a kid fell and cut their knee, we had a Band-Aid and some Neosporin. So to not deal with those 2 at all. So I wanted to have some conversation around that. It made sense to me honestly because my first, I know you 2 weren't at the last meeting, right? So, okay, so May 15th you voted on. Because the biggest thing, is that everyone, yeah, it's a great date, but is everyone going to be available that day to be here for the whole time? We'll have set up and the event, which is going to be 3 hours, and then the tear down. We may get some help from the employees with the tables and the coolers and stuff like that. But just to be here and go, okay, the coolers go there, the tables go there, there'll be a schematic drawn up. But it's a lot of prep, and it's going to be a lot of work for a brief period of time, but we want to make sure that everybody is available that day, because it's kind of like a true commitment. We can't have everybody call in last minute and say, I can't come, I'm not available, and then there's 2 of us to run a picnic, because it'll have to be canceled last minute, which means we'll lose a bunch of money, and it'll be not good. So that was my first order, was I know we set a date and we approved it, but I needed hard commitments from everybody that they can be here, that they can work. And I don't think anybody should have to work the whole picnic. You should be able to come with your families and sit on a blanket and listen to the music, but we would shift it out and just so everyone could work a little bit and enjoy it, but we kind of need all hands on deck to get this done, as opposed to like 2 or 3 people like working their butts off. So-
I agree, and absolutely, and I think that we should use our social media to say, we're looking for 10 volunteers on May 15th, and then sign up sheet. Bob and Joe are from 11 to 1, or whatever, break it up into 2-hour increments, or whatever it is, and then that way, the pressure's off of not just one person, like you.
No, I agree. And, well, so, and then, like, you know, Deb has a couple things to say. And so it's like, if you're out and about, because obviously we're still trying to figure out a way to get input from residents on what they want and what they don't want. And like, the city council was honestly more concerned with, like, not like that we would have no one show up because of COVID, but they were more concerned, a couple of them, with it being bombarded with people that were not citizens. And they didn't want to put it on the sign because they didn't want everyone that drove over. So it was kind of like the opposite of certain other feedback where people are like, oh, we don't have a sign, so we can't advertise it. And then someone else will say, well, I don't want it on the sign because I don't want it advertised. So you have both sides of that. You know, like I'm thinking if we get a good 30, 40 families of all the people that live in Bel Air Beach, we're still going to have like a crowded, it's still going to look like a party. Does that make sense? If we have 2 or 3 families here, if it's just us, then I consider that an epic fail. Like that's, you know.
Well, as soon as the music starts playing, anybody walking the bridge, which is a ton of people, it's gonna.
But see, that was city council's, like, they wanted
Beer.
us to ID for cookies, like ID for water, which is another reason why I don't want to pass out, like, you know, if someone's dying of thirst, I don't care if they live in Timbuktu, I'm gonna give them a bottle of water. But I understand that we don't want to spend, you know, $1,000 on fancy cupcakes and then give them to everyone that walks over the bridge that may or may not be from here, which is another reason why I'm kind of thinking the whole dessert.
Yeah, the food thing's fine.
Yeah, they get to do
The
their own.
recycling of the bottles, and where's that gonna, this is becoming a thing. So
Right.
bring your own food, and then bring it back out. Bring your trash with you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really, there was 2 sides of it from them. The input was that it was going to be too crowded, and they don't want anybody that doesn't live here, that doesn't have the sticker on their car and have a Bel Air Beach residence on there. You know, if your brother's visiting from Texas, then you should bring him, was the input that I gave. Like, if you have, like, family members in town or whatever. But I just wanted to get some discussion as we're doing around that because, I don't know, there's one side of it that says that no one will come because of COVID, and then another side of it that says we're gonna, you know, it's gonna be so crowded and we're not gonna be able to maintain it, so.
And let's see, we did a get-together last fall out here, and there was a big concern about parking.
Yes, and that was brought up,
Yeah.
and so it was mentioned that like, you know, we're gonna do a postcard mailer, and it'll give some details, and it'll say if you're able, you know, if you are trying to park in the parking lot, you have to make sure you have your sticker, or you have to pay to park, or if you live close enough to either walk or ride your bike, or, you know, get dropped off, and a lot of people still aren't taking Ubers, but obviously parking is limited, so if you can get here by another way, like, you know, someone on 9th Street shouldn't drive over and park here, but,
What number of cars do we consider having to have a parking plan? I remember last fall,
Yeah.
we had a big plan of where they could park, and we had cones out and park on this street but not on the street. So how big a group?
I was trying to think of how many spots are in that lot. I'm thinking like between 30 and 40.
That's what I was thinking, 30, 40.
So anything over that, you gotta have some kind of plan if people are driving. And did you think about, are we like shutting the meter down that day, and you know, is it residents only
Yes.
for the purpose? Okay.
Yes,
So,
that was the thought, that it's, you know, residents only, have your parking sticker, the meters are, you know, we shouldn't need the meters if it's Bel Air
right, you won't need
Beach residents, so yeah, it shouldn't matter, but like, you know, really should be able to park in the lot that day if you aren't, if you don't live here.
It is first come, first serve, and then you could park across the street at the beach, no, and walk over. And once all the cars are full, then good, that's enough people anyways.
Yeah, I mean, so like,
I mean,
the parking is what it is. There's gonna be no parking on the street because that will cause people to scream loud as
Okay.
can be. So, no parking on the street, even if it's for the 3 hours. I mean, the second I proposed to city council, my phone started ringing because I put my phone number on the website, which, you know, it's like they keep asking for a way for people to give input and a way for people to give their requests. And honestly, that was the only thing I could think of with what we have to work with at this point. And I honestly don't mind because I like when people give me their input, especially if they don't want to come and sit in the meetings. And, you know, and I'll sit and listen and I took notes and it was suggested that we kind of document it, even if they don't want to give their names or their address, that, you know, we had this many people. But, you know, immediately just based on a lot of last year's events and issues that came up. So I was asked from the city council after we went through, so the 4 events, just for you, George, 'cause I don't know if you saw the list, but it's just the 4 that we narrowed it down to was the Jazz in the Park or the picnic, and then a dog parade for Halloween, dogs and kids. And, you know, all of these are family events. So when I say dog parade, you know, like kids are obviously welcome and like everyone can wear costumes and whatever. But it's a dog parade in October, and then there were 2 events in December. One was the one that Lynn wanted to have last year, which is the holiday social and Christmas tree lighting, which would be in the beginning of December. The other one that was voted on was the boat parade. And so I guess obviously that's come up in the past, and there's lots of logistical issues and finding a captain that knows what he's doing to honestly safely get a bunch of drunk people through these narrows in the dark. And I'm over my skis with that. So like, I do know a couple of boat captains. I don't know if they've ever led a boat parade. So I mean, I could do some phone calls, but like, I guess they tried to team up with Indian Rocks Beach on the same day in years past, and Indian Rocks Beach was like, no, because of parking, you know. Because I mean, if you live on the water, great. But if you don't live on the water and you want to drive to a park, again, people are screaming about the parking on the streets, and you kind of have to like walk down to the park closest to your street and bring chairs, or you know, like if you have friends at the end of the block, you know, a lot of people have parties that night, so they get, you know, people in their house and whatever. I mean, COVID aside, the one I went to this last year in Indian Rocks Beach was probably 25 people, and everybody was outside and very spread apart. So like, it didn't feel unsafe, and who knows where we're going to be in December. But that's the only one, like, in theory, it sounds like a great idea to me, but in my heart, I kind of have a few reservations, like, in regards to safety and knowledge, but I'm more than happy to hand over the reins to someone that says, oh my gosh, I know exactly how this works, I know exactly how we do it, because I've been in the Clearwater one, and I've been at the Indian Rocks Beach one a couple times, and I think a lot of it, they're just throwing in the air and praying that people like do what they're supposed to be doing, because people jump in because I know, like, Clearwater Beach, like, you have, the captain has a meeting, you have to fill out all these forms, you have to show your insurance, you have to do all this stuff, and then they have a safety meeting with all the boat captains, and then they're like, this is the route, this is the time, this is where you start, this is the way we go. But people just like go jump in their boats and jump right in the middle of the people that officially signed up. So you have a mixture of people that know what they're doing and a mixture of, you know, a bunch of people that don't know what they're doing. So Indian Rocks Beach ends right in front of my house. They literally do the turnaround and go back the other way. So I don't even know, like, you know, I know it's deep right here, but I know you also have to turn around. You can't go under. Because of the tides, and then you would have to go, so it would have to be pretty much down on the other end of Bel Air Beach.
They have to coordinate with Indian Rocks, right?
Well, they said Indian Rocks said, no, we don't want, it's like, they obviously can't tell us to not have it on the same night, but they don't want to do it with us. Like, they don't want a coordinated effort, which I don't know how you coordinate that anyway. We would do it on our side and they would do it on their
I
side.
think it's the same night when you want. I know many people that's a big deal for years, and as families and everything down there. Those were things when we were talking about that before, and the same thing might not be that way.
Right, well, and the other thing I thought of was like, obviously everybody knows how busy the holidays are. We have a ton of things going on, and we've already got one event in December. I don't know if like we as a committee want to commit to another, because that's a full day, because, you know, we talked about judging and prizes, and, you know, that is a huge commitment, less than a week before Christmas, that I really think that we have to think about again. In theory, like you said, it sounds like a great idea. I love that, but we haven't been doing it for 20 years. We don't know, like I said, I shouldn't say we, I don't know. So like if, you know, someone is like, no, I know exactly how this is supposed to work, I'm willing to hand over the reins and help as much as I can help. But, you know, I for one will admit that I totally overbook myself during Christmas. Like I'll say, I'll be at this and I'll be at this and I'll be at this, and then I'll crash and burn. And then I'll be like, I can't go to one more thing, I'm done. I can't, you know, whatever. So, and a lot of people travel for the holidays. Even with COVID, I mean, it was still busy. So I think that one is one that maybe we should, I don't know, like have a little bit more discussion on.
I think that because this is our first year as Parks and Rec with these people, that we should take on a picnic, see how it goes, work on the communication. I think taking on a boat parade is just too much at that point, especially again, adding to the holidays when we already have the holiday lighting thing. That's a lot going on. And it sounds like it's going to be really hard to coordinate
It's quick.
such a another big event. I think that we should table it until maybe next year.
Just a thought. What if you did a kayak and paddleboard parade?
I'm sorry,
Kayak and paddleboard parade.
that's cute.
I mean, it's still boat parade, but it'd be easier. You could go under this bridge. You don't have to worry about deep water. You wouldn't have to worry about a boat captain.
It's a lot easier to decorate your kayak too.
I mean, it'd be a lot easier if there's enough kayakers and boaters out here. I mean, and paddleboarders.
Yeah, it would be cold one.
You know, and if the wind picks up, you've got Safe Haven south of 22nd Street Bridge. If the wind comes from the other way, that bay that's up north of the 22nd Street Bridge is usually calm, depending, you know, south wind.
Right.
So it's an option, you know. Instead of power boats, you have
Yeah, but the drunk
canoes, rowboats, paddleboards.
Right, that's true. Yeah.
Just
I love to kayak and I love to paddleboard, but I don't think I would do that just in December. But it's not me, so it could be like, would you do it? Like, would you sign up to kayak?
No, I don't swim. I'm a boater and don't swim. How about that one?
Yeah, it's just, I didn't kayak once in December, January, and I haven't in February. Like today I thought about it because the tide was perfect and it was sunny at like 2 o'clock, but like I haven't been in my kayak for months because it's been so cold. And
It's amazing how many people are out there. I mean, they got their wetsuits on
yeah,
and some of them don't, you know, they can withstand the cold. Maybe they're from Canada, I don't know.
yeah, or they're on vacation and they
Could
came
be.
from Chicago.
Boat parades take place at night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that,
Well, I mean,
So you're talking
that
about
one
the
would have to
daytime
be
one.
during the day.
Yeah,
I mean, you
okay.
Couldn't have it at night.
Part of
Yeah,
the, part
well,
of the.
and it gets dark at what, like 4 o'clock?
yeah, depending how long it lasts. I mean,
In December?
Well, right now sunset's at 6.
Six.
Yeah, so it was like 5:30 or something in December, right? It was earlier.
yeah.
So it would be more like, you're talking more like a daytime event?
Well, it's the only way you could really do it. I mean, you couldn't
Right.
do it
Mhm.
Saturday or Sunday, you know.
Part of the interest in the parade of ships or boats is that people will decorate their boat.
Right.
And then in the evenings, you see these decorated boats go by, and it's kind of neat.
Well, that's the whole draw, I think, really.
And, so I'm not sure that would work with a kayak. afraid of kayaks. They just don't see it. Rick was the one that had evidently contacts with the Coast Guard.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like he had a lot of input on that. I hate to just cancel it without having Rick here to talk with him about it. So, I don't know. I agree that December's a really rough time to pack another event in.
Yeah, that's my whole thing too, like, if we were to do it, because you can't decorate the kayaks, maybe we would do it at a different time of year, where it isn't a pile on in December, just because everybody is so booked and so busy.
Yeah, one time at that, we had a survey, get people to answer questions about what they would like to participate in.
You can still do the golf cart thing. Decorate your golf cart. I don't know. They do that too in IRB.
I don't either, but they're cute. I like when I see people decorate their golf carts. Okay, so like, I guess I don't think I have to make a motion for this. If we could just take a vote, like, for maybe to table it, to have more discussion until we get a full group here. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah, I
Because
think
I
that
would
makes
love,
sense.
like, because Nora was a big proponent of the boat parade, so I don't want to cut it out without her input. And Steve hasn't been, he wasn't here to vote on it last month, so he doesn't really have a lot of the details on what the final list was, other than reading it. So, would that be okay with everybody?
Just table it for a while.
Table it to next month, until we have everybody here, hopefully.
Let me ask you a question about the May 15th.
May 15th, yeah.
So essentially, you providing music, and then you have just a table with first aid and extra water, someone you're not doing anything else. It's a function is to come and listen to music, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so it'd be jazz in the park, and then one of the bullet points beneath it, obviously would be the date and the time, and then it would be bring your own picnic, or bring your own beverages, whatever, COVID friendly, because everything would have to be individually wrapped, and it would be a whole different set of.
So you're thinking about providing food? No. You said individually wrapped.
No, I said if we did provide it, it would have to be individually wrapped, and it would be like, it would be our whole year's budget, and no one would probably. And we would have any way to find out how much we needed, like, so yeah, so we
People
kind
want
of,
to raise?
we already decided no food, but like, I just had a suggestion about the no beverages or no desserts, and I actually, after I thought about it, and I listened to her, I was like, you know what, she's right.
Right.
She's lived here a lot longer than me. And honestly, like, I would bring my picnic, and I would probably bring my own picnic anyway. So you might end up with a bunch of leftover stuff and wasted money. So, yeah, I would just say like a hydration station and first aid. A couple of the things that she mentioned, and I sent it on like an Excel spreadsheet to Kyle, because, I don't know, they asked for something, Lynn said we didn't have to provide it, so I'm still kind of in the middle. We'll still have it for us, but it's just like, we'll do it anyway. It's a spreadsheet, everything that we need, how many we need, what we think it's going to cost, what it actually costs, and so we have a good idea of our budget. So the entertainment, if like you didn't hear or whatever, so for the 5-piece jazz band for 3 hours is $625. So it's basically $125 per person for 3 hours, and they do the costumes, they sing. I saw them in Turbans Rings, they're really good. They're called Jazz Fools, P-H-O-O-L-S. So you can go on the internet, you can go on YouTube, you can listen, they have tons of performances on YouTube that you can kind of listen to them perform. So that's what we're looking at. They are available that day. Another would be like decor and linens. We wouldn't do a ton, like with the jazz theme, like just maybe up here by the musicians, we can do like, I've seen, like if you look at any like jazz in the park or jazz party, jazz decorations, and like there's a couple balloons with like music notes, or you kind of think Mardi Gras theme, but we would literally keep it just up and around the musicians so the cost would be minimal on that, just so it looked kind of festive and like, hey, this is where the musicians are. So I know we're gonna use tables, so we need to get a couple tablecloths. So with the water, I would think we would need some ice. We have coolers here, Kyle said we have coolers that we can use, tables that we can use. Honestly, the bigger cost than even the music, from my understanding, is the postcards and the postage. I mean, that's gonna be like $600, $700, $800 is my understanding.
That sounds right. Are you sending it to every resident?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you might be able to cut off some of them based on our email list that we put together. You know, that way you want to do that for everyone.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we were just thinking we would mail one to everyone, and on one side have like the jazz in the park, and all the information pertinent to that day, and then on the back of it have the coming events like, you know, the October dog and kid, you know, costume parade, you know, prizes, whatever, refreshments, whatever we decide to do as that gets closer, and then the holiday Christmas tree lighting event on December 7th or whatever the date is. So they would already have those that they can pencil them in on their calendar, and we would only have to do one mailer for the year. So that was kind of the thought, but whatever we end up putting on there, it's a bigger expense than, or at least equal to the music. And then the other thing are the, you know, if we do games and rec activities, I sent a picture to Kyle, like we don't, meaning City of Bella Beach, we don't have like bag sets or cornhole, whatever you call it. I did find custom ones. They're the same prices like if you went and bought them that are decent quality. And they're white and they have palm trees on them and they say City of Bella Beach and they're really nice. And so it would be something that we could, you know, when we have everybody here, we could vote on if we want to order. You can get them in 5 to 7 days. And then we would just leave them with the city, you know, for people to use for future, you know, endeavors or whatever events. So we can talk about literally if we want to do the bags or some other games for kids. You know, that's just a detail, and you know, kind of go with depending on what we pick. It could cost nothing, or like if we go with bag sets, 2 bag sets are $400. So if we can decide if we want to do that or
Are you
not.
talking the main function? The people that I've been around, with children, I don't think they want their kids to do that, touch the things that other people happy.
Yeah, I think the whole
I
pandemic
truly
thing.
don't think that you're gonna get a lot of turnout. People are not gonna want to be up close.
Well, see, that's the other thing. Like, if we truly don't think anybody's going to come, then we should just table this whole thing until like everybody's had their shots and the numbers look better, and it's not because we don't want to do all of this and then cancel it like a week before.
I think we should just keep it simple. Band, a little decorations, mail out postcards, people show up.
But that's still
that's a
a
lot of
couple
money.
thousand. Because we
Right.
still have to have security. It's still, you know, $2,000-$3,000.
I still think that there will be people. Like, did you see the Tampa Boat Parade today? Packed. I know City of Bel Air saw the Super Bowl, but I'm just saying, like, I think there will be people. I think there'll be people, especially since you could just say, bring your own blanket and that is your spot. Like, go to your spot and stay there and listen to music.
Security is not required, I don't think, unless you're selling alcohol.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
I don't think you need the deputy, you know, paying for a deputy per hour unless you're actually, you know, selling the alcohol,
Okay.
you know?
I wasn't sure because like at a wedding,
check
you
on that.
require a security guard and they're not selling alcohol.
Well, I guess if you're giving out alcohol, because at a wedding, you know,
Okay, so if people bring their own wine, we don't have to have security.
I don't think so, we'll check.
Okay.
But I don't think
Yeah,
that's
I was just
necessary.
thinking, even if he does nothing but direct people in the parking lot and tell people where to go for 75, or, you know,
Yeah.
I guess it's 75 times 3. But like, I would feel safer if there was somebody here, I think.
For sure.
If we don't.
Well, we always have a deputy on duty
Oh,
if there was an emergency or anything.
okay.
I mean, I think volunteers could do the, you know, checking the parking.
The parking.
Yeah, and
that
then
would
you
be
get
great
the
because that
assistance
would
of the
save some
deputy if
money.
there was an issue.
So you don't think anybody would play, well, like, so no games either then? Because if no one's going to play back, no one's going to, I mean, there's really what, I mean, you know,
And walking the beach though, I do, I see people keeping the kids away from all the people.
right.
I guess you could welcome, people bring games if they have them,
Play your own games.
or, that way you would be investing into games that may not be used.
So no organized games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure parents are bringing frisbees, balls, whatever their kids like to
They're
do.
gonna bring iPads.
Yeah. No doubt. Yeah, I'm totally fine with that.
And I think we'll get some feedback from us. Can we do a survey with the email list about if will you be attending the picnic in May? Like,
Well, right
can
now
you,
we have
like,
150
touch
people
feelers?
on it, so what I was gonna ask for is an RSVP on the postcard.
Good way to-
And then the other thing that we talked about is if we could get help from like the city employees, not you, but like the maintenance people, setting up the tables and tearing it down, doing the garbage, doing the recycle, because that would be a cost too.
Yeah, that is Lynn's decision, so I haven't had a chance to talk to him about that,
Okay.
but, yeah.
Okay, so how about, like, this is great discussion, and I'm glad, because it's like, a couple things that we just, not that we didn't think through, but like, you're always, I don't know, for my whole life, anytime I throw a party, you're always afraid no one's gonna show up, and then it ends up packed, and you're like, yay! But like, with COVID, it's a different thing, but we're not throwing a party in this room for 200 people. We're doing something outside where everybody can be 6 feet apart with their own family inside their household and sit outside in like nice weather and listen to music and have a picnic. And that's really, and like maybe, just, if you could meet somebody new or whatever in the neighborhood, great. But, I don't know how we can be any more COVID friendly than we are with this event.
Well, the Strawberry Festival is still happening. Things are still happening. People are still going to go to those things. I think that's a good indication that there will be people there. Yeah. And don't forget all the things discussed with the T-shirts and the sale. And the sale.
You know what? I'm still getting there down my list.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
I got you. So the first aid in the water, the hydration station wouldn't, be any money really. So the other thing is like if we're going to spend some money on some signage. So again, like city council was like, I don't even want it on some of them. I don't want it on the sign because it's going to attract everybody that drives by. Then on the other hand, how do we let people know when we're spending the money on mailers? So like they're going to get it in their mailbox, mailed legally, so we're not like, doing something like we're not supposed to be doing. And then, we'll ask for RSVPs. I'll put my number down. I don't know, maybe you can ask if, they can call Laura and then we can combine it. But really, RSVPs, if we're not providing food or beverages, you know what I mean? It doesn't really, other than just to have an idea of the number, there's really nothing that we're providing for, because 10 people can come listen to the music, or 200, unless I'm missing something. So, and then the other thing is like we would have a table set up. So, a couple things. So at the last meeting, George, I don't think you saw them. So here's, we thought about maybe selling like t-shirts and tank tops because we don't find a lot of stuff with Bel Air Beach on it. So I did find these. What I asked the owner of the shop was, because he obviously made up this established in 1887 or 97 or whatever he wrote. So initially they told me they could fix the date and put 1950 on there, but he can't get it in. But what he could do is just cut that part out of the decal. So it would be more like this. So they have some guys like with the Jeep and the surfboard, you can get rid of the flowers. So this is be more like one would look like. Took the date off completely, and this would just be like another design. So there's a couple with palm trees, there's a couple with surfboards. And then what I talked to him about is maybe we could discuss the number and we would get them. So like say this one, I want to say he charged me $10 for it. This one, I think he charged me $8 for it. So he's giving us a break on them. And I would say we pass the break. Well, whatever we pay, this isn't a fundraiser. Whatever we pay, we pass on to the residents. Because I know a lot of people lady in my book club, she actually went and had t-shirts made for her whole family that say Bel Air Beach, and I showed her these and she goes, oh my God, those are so much cuter than the ones that I had made. And she sent me a picture and she's like, where did you find those? So I think like, you know, people saw these, like, you know, you see stuff for, you know, Clearwater Beach and Indian Rocks Beach everywhere, but I like up until I found this guy, I didn't really see a lot with Bel Air Beach. People were kind of making their own. So he's got like 5 or 6 styles. So we kind of talked about maybe having him pre-makeup, like say maybe 30 of them. Like maybe a small, medium, large in each color or each design, however it's laid out. And then we can sell what we have. And then if, you know, we run out or if they need more or a different size or a different color, then I would have like a sign-up sheet, they could fill it out and then they could go have it made. It's 2 miles up the road. And he would give it to them for the same price based on our bulk, if that makes sense. And then, so I did like pass out, if you were here, like the little stickers. Sorry, turn your Indian Rocks Beach around. But they do have the bigger ones for your car that say Bel Air Beach, and they also have the magnets, so they have the stickers. And then he did make up this for me.
That is so cute.
Which I thought would be cute because at all the Indian Rocks festivals, they hand these out to people for free. It's kind of like your thank you for coming gift.
Wow.
And if they're like 50 cents a piece, and there's tons of designs, so like they could be palm trees or sunshines or whatever. So I asked him for a cost on.
It's very nice.
Yeah, and they're in tons of colors and. Yeah. So they've been really cool to work with. They're kind of willing to do whatever. They're willing to give us a price break on everything. It's just a matter of like, you know, that would be the one station that's set up that day that like someone would have to literally stand there. We would have to have change and we would be, you know, obviously no credit cards. It would be cash only. And we would put that on the invite, you know, selling Bel Air Beach t-shirts and stickers and blah, blah, blah. If you're interested, please bring cash. So, and then if we spent $300 and then we sold them, we obviously would be even. And then I would talk to like maybe Lynn or Kyle or Laura about if like say it was a flop and we only sold 10 t-shirts, then the other 20 could go like behind like with the hats.
Nice.
And we would sell them eventually as people come in here and get their stickers or whatever. I think they would sell them. So, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I love it.
Everyone good with that? George, what do you think?
Great idea.
Yeah, and I would get
Right.
guys
Those
like
they still have a lot of
t-shirts.
hats.
So these are obviously women's tank tops because they're going for me, but like, you know, I would get guys t-shirts, so I would get some masculine ones and
I
some
mean, I
women's
have my own
t-shirts
thing.
and just like different styles and different sizes. Hopefully that would go. But that one we should just break even on. Whatever
Some
we spend,
companies
we'll
do,
just put
they
right back
just-
in the piggy bank.
Hats, shirts.
And then I think that would be it. So we don't.
I was just trying to, the band, is that going under the pavilion?
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to envision the setup. Is that the band, the jazz band, is that going to be under the pavilion out
Yeah.
there?
So like I was gonna come up here and ask for someone to give me a tour. I was told there was electricity right up under the. Is there electricity up under here?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So-
we got electricity here that we can get to.
That run out. Yeah, so they would be kind of set up under the overhang or whatever.
Okay.
Um,
It'll be right here, and then everybody would bring their own blanket or chair or
yeah.
whatever.
Like they were
it
just
was
having a
before.
picnic on their own in the park. We're just providing the music.
Okay.
And then we probably also set up like, you know, say if the band's in the middle, like maybe the t-shirts off to one side and the hydration station off to the other side. So everything us related would be confined into like, not a small area, but like, you know what I mean, like a more concise area. I mean, there would be no reason to have, you know, the t-shirts way down there.
Right.
And like, you know, so we would set it up however the layout worked. And then, you know, people would just be spread out all over the place.
And then you just use that lot and this lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then No street parking.
No street parking.
So maybe if you're definitely not doing street parking, maybe like signs saying that so people are
I think
aware.
the sign should say private event, it's a private community event, or
Yeah.
something like that.
And then what, when you say signs about parking?
Well, maybe just something to reinforce the people to show, because you know, when everything's full, then the people just start deciding to make up parking spots wherever they want,
Right.
you know? So just something out so that it's a little, it's clear to people that don't park on the street.
Right.
Yeah, so did you, like, when I was driving through Bel Air, they had a community, like a chili cook-off and some, like a cornhole competition. So other people were doing it, they don't mind touching the bags. But they had that last weekend, and so it's like literally as you're driving past their park down Indian Rocks Road, it was sign after sign after sign. And it was just like, you know, two-sided, so you saw it. It was cardboard with a little stick that they had stuck in the ground. Is that what you're kind of thinking?
Like the corrugated signs.
Yes,
Yeah, no
like the
parking.
corrugated signs. So like there was no way you were missing that they were having a chili cook-off and a sign. So yeah, we would get signage for private events, for parking.
So I think we got, I want to say 50 total, 52 with the handicap over here.
Okay.
And then maybe 12 actual parking spots in the, you know, gravel area over at Bayside.
So I mean, you know, hopefully families would come together and
Yeah.
they would be bringing 2 cars or 3 cars, a family, just pile in. But we would put on the invite, parking is limited, so
Is
please
limited.
plan ahead, walk if you can, or ride your bike if you can.
Or go to the community center and get your parking sticker, so you're able to park at these beaches.
Oh yeah, or parking, what is it,
Yeah.
6th Street
That was one
and
of the reasons
what's the other one that's closer?
It's gotta be
True over here.
12th or
12th.
13th?
It's
Yeah,
12, yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's 12.
Yeah, it should say on that park at the 6th or 12th beach access.
But you have to have your beach sticker,
Yeah.
beach parking sticker.
What
So-
about face masks?
Outside, no.
So we're not gonna even mention face masks anymore.
For outside, I mean,
I don't-
you know, you have to have a face mask to use the bathroom, so that's a good point. If you're coming into the building, I mean,
Make it
I-
optional.
huh?
Make it optional.
Face masks are optional outside, must be worn into the restrooms.
Yes, exactly, like simple as that. I agree.
Is that what you mean?
I just wanted to know how we were gonna handle it, that's all.
You can't really enforce it because it's outside, but to come inside, you
But
can.
so, if a lot of people can outside just walk right up to another person and start talking to them, that wouldn't be good.
The county put out like a new permitting process for outdoor gatherings and things like that you have to get approved.
Say that one more time.
The county, I saw something recently that they did a permitting process for outdoor events where you have to have a design plan that they approve.
Okay.
And I think that would apply in this situation, so we gotta look at that.
Yeah, you're the first person to mention that. So
Yeah.
I didn't know. Oh, they just put it out?
Yeah, it's like criteria based on how many people, entrances and exits, the mass requirements.
Okay, I'll look into that.
Yeah, I'll send you the email.
Do you remember the number of people?
I don't,
Because it would be one of those things like where if they're limiting like the number of people to 200.
I don't remember a limit. I think it's just you know, their requirements will change based on the estimated.
And it could also change
Attendance.
for May too, right?
It could, yeah. I mean, the way things are looking, it might be in the same.
Well, I think February 12th, the governor's something ends February 12th, so it's going to be rediscussed.
Until he extends it, because
Yeah.
he keeps extending it like
Yeah.
right at the end there.
But, yeah, it's all policy.
Okay. So no, this is all good, and we have time to work on all this. What I'm going to have Patty do is I'm going to have Patty send out a separate email getting everyone's like, you know, 100% commitment unless obviously there's an absolute emergency that you cannot attend this day, and then we'll definitely ask for volunteers to see if anybody wants to help out. Just to make sure that we even have enough people to move forward with this, because this is, like I said, it's a lot of work that if, we're either gonna do it and put the time into it, or, if we don't have a group of people that have the time to do it, then we're gonna have to, postpone it until there's a time where we have the people to work on it. So I'm gonna have Patty send out previous to the next meeting, just getting everyone's feedback individually, so it's private. Like if you can't come, you can't come. I mean, obviously everyone's gonna know if you can't come, and that's totally fine. I mean, if you can't come, you can't do it. But I would rather know February like 15th or whatever than March 10th or May 10th. Because then everything's already booked and everything's like ready to go, and then, we're kind of stuck. So I'm gonna have her send that out, and then hopefully next meeting, there was mention that they wanted the plan for the October and the December event as soon as possible, but I'm kind of thinking like, I would like to get through, there's a lot of things to do. If we have to file something with Pinellas County, we have to order signs, and really, honestly, that's it. Oh, and the invitations. Those are the three things that are going to take some time and some forethought. Everything else is easy. It's an easy setup. It's an easy tear down. We have a table with a tablecloth and some change and some t-shirts and some coolers with some ice. It is not a big project. It's just the logistics of getting it set up legally and making sure everyone knows about it and how to safe protocol and where to park and where you can't park and don't park on the street, because we don't want a million people calling the police that day because we're listening to some music in the park. It's supposed to be like a happy thing to bring people together, and just, even if you can't sit on your neighbor's blanket, whatever, you can still at least feel social, like you're with. There's some people that are still kind of isolated right now. I mean, it's just kind of supposed to be a feel-good event, not like something that makes people feel like they're putting themselves in danger, if that makes sense. So you're with people even though you're not sitting on top of people. So I'll have Patty send out that email and just make sure that we have enough people that are able to work that day to move forward with the event. And then the budget / schematic that the city council kind of asked for, I'll talk to Lynn more about that, and it may not even be so much as a presentation as opposed to just like a handout.
Yeah, from what I understood is that the money's been budgeted, so.
Right, so that's what, because
Yeah,
the mayor said something about, well, you submitted your budget and we'll approve it, but Lynn had already told us that we already have an approved budget that we
Yeah.
can spend as we vote and choose to do. So then after the meeting, Lynn said, no, the budget's been approved, you guys can divvy it out as you want, because if we don't use it, we lose it. It's not like it rolls over to next year where we can have a bigger event when COVID is over. It's probably still the same budget. So, I don't know, are there any other thoughts on the picnic? I mean, good discussion today, we brought up some good things, but I would love to get
It's unused.
everybody's, and then just make sure everyone's good for the event date. Oh, and the other thing I was thinking, are we
Creative.
putting together like a rain contingency?
I was gonna ask that.
Or if it's if it rains and it's rained down and no one comes, it's just done.
I think it's gonna have to be done. How are you gonna reorganize the whole community?
Well, if you put a rain date on there,
Yeah.
for the following Saturday or something like that, I don't know, whatever it would be. And I would obviously have to talk to the band, but I wanted to bring that up because obviously it rains here a lot.
Yeah. You can do it, yeah. See if the band's available a week later. And then we can.
Well, they said most of their gigs are at night. So he's like, I'm available in the afternoon, 12 to 3, almost any day of the week we can be there. So I don't think scheduling the band is going to be an issue, because they're more, they do the Sunday brunch that I've gone to once a month.
In Tarpon? What's the name of that new restaurant?
Yeah.
I saw them.
Hours.
Yes.
What you think?
I wonder if I was there the same day as you. But I thought they were great.
Yeah, they do a really good job. I've only been once, but I was really impressed with them.
I think it was, they do it once a month, and I think
I
it
was
was,
there in
it was,
December.
okay, I was at the January.
Okay. Yeah, it's called Hours Cajun.
Yes, yeah. Good food.
So, I thought they were good. But yeah, that's what he said. And he was really nice. And they have like anywhere from like a 3-piece jazz band to like a 10-piece with like a female singer. And I didn't really think we needed that because I thought the 5-piece that they have in the restaurant, not in, but outside on the deck or whatever, they're, you know, they were on this little area, but they still were able, like, you know, they weren't too loud, they weren't too, you know, they didn't interfere with like your lunch or your conversation. So I thought they were great for like what we were talking about doing. So, okay, so that sounds good. We could do a few more details, and I'll have Patty send out that email. And we'll scratch like the games, and then we'll get like a, what I'll do is I'll do like a mock-up invite from everything that we talked about today, and I'll have her shoot it out to each of you because I don't want to call another meeting to do an invite. We can do that on email. Shoot it out to everybody. Everybody can do their, you know, suggestions, edits, whatever, until we come up with one that everybody's good with. And it was kind of unclear to me because at the city council meeting, like the tentative approval, like I'm not spending $1 on printing until I have an absolute approval that we can move forward and we are good. But it kind of sounded like they wanted to approve the budget and see the whatever. So I need to maybe get with Lynn and Kyle and see if that could be something that is emailed or passed out, and maybe get some clarity on the fact that we already have the budget to do it, and to just, I guess it was to ensure them that we know what we're doing. Like, we have a plan, we have a plan for parking, we have a plan for setup and breakdown, for garbage. I don't really want to ID everybody that walks in here, like, because it's, I just think that that'll be a, but we're not handing out anything unless we decide to do these, but we're not going to decide to do these until he shoots me back a price. Does anybody have a thought on like a limit? I mean, I don't know really, like I said, they usually just hand these out, so I'm thinking they can't be very much. And he gave me that one, so like I don't even know how much he would charge retail. But I'm thinking they can't be a whole lot. But I thought it would be nice for everybody to walk away with a little tchotchke, especially if we're not doing anything else really.
A t-shirt gun. Just, stadium, is the t-shirt gun?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. That's not really too.
What's your, what would you consider like a good attendance? Like what's your estimated successful attendance?
Household wise, I would say if you want household or people?
Total people here.
Total people, I would say if we had 50 to 75 people here, I would consider that. I
That
don't know
would
if
be
that
good.
would look empty or full.
No.
But we don't want it to be crowded. I mean, we don't want it to be blanket to blanket, so I don't know, what do you think?
I think like with the parking available, if it's like 2 to 3 people per car, if it was to be completely at capacity as far as parking and some walking, then you're looking at like 100, 150. Do you remember what the attendance was for the September festival?
Well, we
I think it was
parked-
around that,
Parked on
but
the
there's a lot
street,
more.
you know, that was different, so I think it boosted it a little bit, but
Mhm.
if you consider the parking capacity, that cuts the overall amount down.
Sure.
Maybe 100 at the max, with the parking limited to what we have.
Right.
Yeah, what I mean, I know we can't park on the street because there are people screaming, but I think that it's a good idea, because you're only looking at parking here and not 6th
There.
and 12th Street, or are you counting those?
With the 6th and 12th Street, I could check with Lynn. Did you run that by him as far as the auxiliary
No,
parking?
she just mentioned it, and I just
I
thought.
just wonder with everything going on between the two cities, event parking.
So, like, if we just park, like, so the parking lots aren't allowed to be full, is that what?
No, I mean, I don't know. I guess, anyone with a pass can park there.
Well, that's all it
It's,
would be.
yeah. And what it says is like for, the privilege of using the beach.
Oh, so like.
But I wonder now if you're using that for event parking, just something to think about.
Okay, well, it's something to ask Linda, I guess.
Yeah, let's see what his opinion is on that.
So do you, I mean, I don't want to, like, say we have a great turnout and people show up and then we have nowhere to put them. Like, I almost feel like that would put a worse taste in people's mouth but I don't know, what do you think?
It's, sorry you said, on the thing, it says parking is limited, get there early for your spot. Once it's full, sorry. That's your warning.
Yeah, like I won't drive here that time.
I'm walking.
I will ride my bike. Like, I'm not gonna take up a parking space, my husband can ride his bike. Like people that oh, I know what I was gonna say, like, should we, can people bring their dogs on leashes? I mean, we can't tell people that, it's what they do here, it's a park. So I'm thinking, like, if you bring your dog's gotta be on a leash, just
Yeah.
like at every other park. You see people who let their dogs loose all the time. But like, for this event, if you're gonna bring your dog, it has to be on a leash. And I would think that, I don't know,
Most people.
would do that.
Yeah, it should,
Most people.
the county, it's just the ordinance, it should be,
Yeah.
anywhere.
So I don't know if we need to put that on the invite or not, but.
And it is summer, and a lot of people, a lot of the snowbirds have gone back up north, so that eases your mind as far as overcrowding. It's not September. September, a lot of people are here, so I don't know.
Yeah.
There may not be so many people here. All these houses are empty this summer.
I don't know. I would consider, if we filled the parking lot, I would be happy.
Good.
Yeah. Because, obviously we're doing mailers, but like with no sign and really no survey and no, it's the same 10 people that give the input, and it's hard to like make a decision for a whole city on the input of 10 people over and over. So, I don't know. I think we would get a decent turnout. Even just talking to people about it. Speaking of which, like if you guys, we have 2 events coming up. One I'll let Kelly talk about it, but the Sunsets with a Twist, the painting on the beach, is February 23rd. There's a link to sign up on the Bel Air Beach website, or you can go to his website and sign up, and it literally says Bel Air Beach Private Party Morgan Park. So you can just, sign up there, pay, and then you have to have your parking passed, parking to go to the event. But that's coming up in a couple of weeks, so like, we need 12 people minimum to do it. And then if there's a rain day, or if it gets canceled because we only have 8 people, then he does it every Wednesday and every Saturday at Indian Rocks Beach at 21st Street. So he would just say, oh, I'm gonna roll it over here. But there is no bathroom at 21st Street. So if you're sitting there for 3 hours, he's had women absolutely miserable because they're sitting there for, whatever. Or having, they drink 3 bottles of water and they have to go to the bathroom and there's nowhere to go and they don't want to jump in. Because you're not there to swim, you're not in a bathing suit, you're literally sitting in one of his painting chairs with the canvas and your paints. And it's a pretty, it's a pretty professional setup. I've seen it a couple times from his class. So I think it's great that we can have it in Morgan Park where there is a bathroom and there's, parking. It's only for Bel Air Beach residents, but we've got to get the minimum number of 12 people signed up. So, and then also, Kelly's going to talk about something else.
Also on the 23rd, during the day from 9 to 2, I'm going to get the big red bus in our parking lot. And her goal is minimum 10 people, max about 18 people to donate blood. And you will receive a One Blood long sleeve t-shirt, a $10 e-gift card, plus a wellness checkup, including a COVID-19 antibody test, blood pressure, temperature, iron count, and pulse and cholesterol screening. and you could enter to win a $25 Carrabba's gift card. So I have all these posters we're going to put up. I would like Patty to, or I don't know who's in charge of that information form, but someone, I could do it, just let me know, promote it that way.
How do we put those up in those little boxes with the keys?
Oh, just give them the Patty and
Yeah.
we'll get them
Okay,
up.
at the parks and the beaches, like
Sure.
there's, you
Yeah,
know, all
we-
the coyote signs.
our staff
Just give
will
them
do
to
it.
Patty and she'll put them up at all the parks.
Well,
She'll give
give it
us-
to Patty, yeah, and then it'll be like Public Works staff will go put them
Now,
up
do you
with it.
sign up for a time or you just
Yes,
show up?
you can show up for, you can make an appointment and by signing up for a time, which is gonna get kind of hard, because here's the sign up sheet in my hand, you know? But you can also, she sent me a link that I forwarded to Patty, which will bring you to the website where you can sign up for a time. So you could do it that way, or obviously walk-ins or walk-in as well. Felt like I had so much more to say about this, but that's it.
It's pretty simple.
It's pretty simple, bring your blood.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about that or any input or, I mean, it's 10 people, 12 people, and I'm assuming if someone's walking over the bridge and they see the big red bus
They're gonna want,
and they want to
Yeah.
donate, so
that's what I'm
they're
really,
not going to be turned down, or ID, I'm assuming, like.
no. I mean, you have to bring your driver's license
Right.
anyways, but it's not, we're not gonna turn you away if you live in Bel Air Bluffs.
And are we, I'm okay with that, is everybody okay with that? Like, I'll be happy if we get 10 to 12 people.
I'll check with the city manager.
Well,
I don't hear anything
We
wrong with
forwarded
it.
to Lynn, so he knows about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
no, no,
he's
we
already
already talked
on
about
board.
this and voted on it, like, I just don't, I mean, so it's just, it is what it is. I need to, can I sign up with you today?
Of course.
Okay, because I need 1:30. Thank you, because that's the only time.
That's the last appointment time. Maybe I'll do it right next to you.
Do you ever see the plans for the park that you guys put in?
Do you want to set up?
No, I don't think so.
Be worth it.
Okay, is there anything else in regards to, the activities or the, hopefully now it's getting warm up that we can actually do some beach yoga, because that really hasn't been happening, it's freezing.
Discuss
We've had beach boot camps and those are going well. We literally have people going up and down the beach like cheering us on, it's really cute.
that's
So
cool.
the only thing that bothers me
Shows
is like
increased
people
parking.
smoking on the beach, cigars and cigarettes during the workout. I don't think
Pier
we're
out
supposed
there
to be
and the
smoking on the
outside
beach,
restaurant.
and I'm packing
Sure,
up
it's
one.
all-
But, you know, whatever, it is what it is.
Maybe something that they
I'll bring my water down.
agree.
Yeah,
Because there's cigarettes out.
I'm just
Those
worried
are
about
going well.
going back
The beach
to,
walk during the day,
landmark
it's been cold.
conservation. You know what I mean at this point?
Walking, but the 5 o'clock.
The only
walk
reason the
with
council
Delfino
knocked it
has been
out
really
is
good.
because they're
So
afraid of
we've
COVID
had,
and
other
they
than
want
I
to
think it
get
was
them
canceled
money,
twice because it was
you know, from the
freezing,
state
and north
and the
winds,
county.
20 miles an hour blowing you off the
Yeah,
bridge.
but that was-
Otherwise, we
that
have a
was good.
group of,
It was good.
mostly women, we tried to
You're not
recruit
gonna get more than
men,
that.
that walk
I
over, we
understand
go to
that,
Delfino,
but
we have
that
less
was-
lines and
Yeah,
cheese,
they
and we walk
knocked
back,
that.
it's good, so
Right.
it's fun, kind of fun, so. It's non,
This way we
what's the word?
give them an idea of what.
You know, it's, if you didn't know that like Bel Air Beach organized it, you would just look at a bunch of friends walking the bridge and have the best time. It's not like a big.
Are you parking here, by the way? And there's no issue, you have a sticker, so you're parking and there's no problems, right?
It
Okay.
seemed like.
Yeah, so we walk, we
Wasn't
park
that
here and then we walk over and then we walk back
They
and
didn't,
then,
they didn't
yeah.
want to flood the money.
Yeah, as long as you're for sticker installation, yeah.
With all the other infrastructure needs in the city.
So,
Well,
all right,
that's-
so, item
we
number
could've
6, is
made
there
it
any
fly
other
too,
business
but-
anybody wants to talk about?
I think I'm gonna let everyone know what I told you ahead of time, that I'm gonna be resigning.
What, it was 3 to
So I'm just
4?
letting you know that we'll be-
Okay,
Is this your last meeting?
It may change.
You'll need to send an email to
That's
Patty,
fine.
and then she'll like send it out to everybody, because that's what she did
Yeah, but-
earlier. when,
'Cause
I think
I'm
when
not gonna
Rick
be there.
resigned
I don't
from,
know how the election is going.
vice chair or whatever he was.
He was
At least they
secretary.
would know.
Yeah.
when they
No,
could
he's
run for
secretary
council.
now. He
Oh,
was.
that's right.
Yeah, he was vice chair,
These
so he
people
sent
in
like
these
an email to
boards.
Patty and then she forwarded on to her.
Have to
And there was a couple
pressure
people that
council.
I didn't know who they were, I didn't know their names or.
Let's see
you know,
what way
maybe
it gets
just
shut
don't know
down.
them, That I saw them, and
Enough
that they were on,
communication.
so it was, so yeah. it
Because
was
of
just,
the
okay.
conflict with the park board,
Um,
the mayor and all that
And
shit. So
then,
it's kinda,
Yeah, that didn't help.
that was,
so next meeting time, you know, we're kind of still shooting around the 10th of the month. It's kind of hard when you have the council meeting on Monday and then our meeting on Wednesday. So I'm gonna try to stagger them like 1 week
Do you
apart,
think
if
it's
that's okay
viable?
with everybody. I don't know if you go to the meetings or not, so you do something you don't, but like, so just always like, you'll always kind of
Next
know even
meeting.
before Patty sends out the email that it'll be probably the
Yeah.
Tuesday after, the week after the city council meeting, so I have to look at my calendar. Is everybody good with that for now? I mean, it is what it is. Like, she'll send out the date, if it doesn't work for people, then we'll
I
set a
could bring
date,
it
it's
up
fine.
without.
I mean, you can
And then, if everybody's good, we'll just
bring
adjourn
it up,
the
but I
meeting.
mean,
Do you have anything to say, George?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah,
Oh.
we don't need to motion to adjourn according to
Oh, but it's
Patty's
fun
notes.
saying it.
Huh?
It's fun saying it.
Yeah,
I second that, George.
all right.
Good. All those in
So-
favor?
So we are.
Yeah, but before you get totally adjourned,
We're adjourned.
I'm just gonna-
It's already-
It's not only adjourned,
Sorry.
it's been motioned and
but
seconded.
anyway, there's no motion in anyway, but I know you're all new, basically, the three of you. I don't know if you're aware of what Kyle and Lynn and the council had done earlier this year, or late last, well, end of 19 and 2020. There was a grant that was available, and it was for the park.
Yeah,
Now,
Yeah.
we're aware of
We've had
that.
this-
you're aware of it, did you ever see the plans?
Yes, I have a copy of it, and then it's the one that the city council voted against matching, and so
Yeah,
nothing.
we kind of knocked it down because of funds and COVID and whatever else have you. But
Yeah,
you really ought to take a good look at it, because if it's parking issues, I mean, there was a lot of other parking places that were going to be put out here on the side of the road. And there's one other topic we talked about, but it all depends on how much room is between the tennis court and the Verizon building. Well, what I was thinking, and the other park board was thinking, is to run a roadway between the parking lot, tennis court, and the Verizon building to access parking back here when you have an event, to eliminate all the complaints that were coming from 9th Street. So you chain off the access from 9th, which would keep the residents happy over there, and then you'd be able to access this parking through our existing lot. You might lose 2 spaces or 3, but you gain 4 to 5 down here with a redesigned parking.
okay. I thought it was a city ordinance that if you had an event, like say if I'm having a birthday party at my house, you can call the city in advance and get pre-approval to park on the street on this date from this time to this time. My neighbor down the street
Yeah.
did it like last month for a birthday party. I thought that was already a city ordinance that was voted on and allowed for a special circumstance. Like obviously you can't park on the street all day, every day, you know.
Right, I mean,
I thought that it was already an ordinance that you were allowed to do that.
well, there was a lot of pushback from the residents on 9th.
No, I understand that, so I'm surprised that the ordinance isn't being changed. Because it's like, you're allowed to do it on every street
But-
except for 9th Street.
You can get permission, you know, if you have a doings at your home, you call the county
That's-
and say, hey, I'm having a doings, and the only thing they're gonna say, and maybe they won't, but you have to remember, our streets are narrow, so whenever you're having a party, just make sure that they're parked on one side of the street and not both.
Right.
Because you'd never get a fire truck or an ambulance down the roadway. That's one of the biggest issues we have, and it's been discussed at work sessions, but we haven't come to a resolution on it yet, whether to put signage on the street Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, park on the left, and the other days park on this, and then alternate.
Oh, you mean all the time?
Well, what do? You got two people on a block that are having a party, that's a lot of cars. And that's happened on my block because there's, people are in business, they're gonna have a house party, what happens? You got 30 cars, where are you gonna put them?
Right.
So, they're parked around the neighborhood, and that's fine, the police know it, but you can't park on both sides, because if you did have an emergency, you'd never be able to get an ambulance down the street.
Ninth Street's one, it's different, because a lot of them, you see six, go around to eight, where you
Yeah,
serve.
yeah.
There, it's, they're going back and forth. And I can remember when we used to have the yard sales. I mean, even down on my street, having that, or the people that, park, you can't get through.
Yeah.
They park on both sides. It was a nightmare.
No, it's bad. I mean, like all the maintenance people are, like if you're getting work done on your house, the painters, the, tree guys, it's like
Right.
they park on the street and it's obviously they're, and it's
Well,
gonna be a couple hours and then they're gonna be gone.
And again, the landscaper's the same issue, on
Yeah.
Thursday on my street, my gosh, are parked on both sides.
Right.
So, and that
So
was
you-
another thing we discussed in a work session, was what are you gonna do with the landscapers? What are you gonna do with the contractors? Well, we didn't come to any decision that made sense, that everybody would agree on to how to handle it. So it's still up in the air.
Because everybody uses them and, what I mean, it's, well, I guess I can't say everybody, somebody might want their own water.
So anyway, that was something that was talked about, if the city keeps doing events, would that be a way? We never got to the point where we called Verizon to find out if we could do that, but that was one of the issues that come up over the last couple of years,
Okay.
so.
Well, you know what, honestly, if we have a blowout Jazz in the Park event, then that would be a great push to like revisit that and have
Again,
additional
you put,
parking.
all this stuff you put together, you put a case together, and if the interest keeps growing, then you put pressure on the council. Say, hey guys, you gotta help us out here. We can't keep the community happy unless you do something.
No, that sounds good.
Because if that grant would have went through, it would have been phenomenal.
Yeah, it was a
Really,
big
it would have,
grant. There was a lot of good things.
The only thing that wasn't in that grant was the access that I talked about and the fence. You want to have activities in the park like you're saying, then that fence would keep meandering people away and keep it separate.
Right.
So if it keeps going and the momentum keeps going, that's something to think about.
Yeah, because all three of the events that we have planned and passed are right here. So like, the dog parade where we have it with the kids and the costumes, the little, we would go around here to keep it safe. It's not like we're gonna be crossing busy streets. And the prizes would be set up right in here. So it'd be the same setup kind of for all three, other than the Christmas tree lighting, which is closer to the road. So like what you're talking about would make sense with the fence just because we'll have people more up front. But, so yeah, this year will be a good, give us some good examples or good events to show, to say these are actually needed and we can revisit this. So,
Yeah, get some documentation.
And to show the people that are like upset and like don't want these things, that one, that it doesn't infringe upon their, liberties to a quiet like lifestyle or whatever, that these events can happen and they know about them, but if they didn't see it on a postcard, they wouldn't know they were happening. Like there isn't a mess or garbage or, whatever.
The other thing with the postcards is the way they sent out the survey. They sent the survey to every house, but you only get so many replies. So I think we're close to 200, over 200 now. Most of them, I think, the majority of them, people want to be contacted by email. But I guess if you think about it, if they didn't reply to the community survey saying we want to be mailed information, I mean, is it even worth sending invitations to people who didn't reply to the community survey?
I would say yes. But
So yeah.
yeah.
Okay, it was just something to think about because I mean, you know, so many people. There's only a certain amount of people that want to be contacted. So I guess, you know, if they didn't reply to wanting community information, I don't know. Just
I mean, if they responded back and said no, I don't want it. I mean, I guess we could not mail it to them. I mean, you're saying
Yeah.
like if you sent that to how many?
it was all the
Is it
properties.
1,200? I always forget the numbers. 12
Six-
or 1,600.
Well, no, it's lower. It's like just over, I think, 1,200 as far as actual residents.
Okay.
It's the population's 1,600. Total population.
Okay. So you sent it out to 1,200 households and you only heard back from 200?
Well, right now we're at about
What, 2
around
and a quarter?
Yeah.
About 2 and a
So
quarter.
you're suggesting to not send it to the
Well,
1,000 that didn't
I was just bringing up the point, you know, if you sent out a community survey and you know, all these people didn't reply or didn't, I don't know. I'm just, as far as budgeting what you want to send out and what's actually effective, does it make sense to send it back to people that didn't even reply to the community survey? I don't know. I'm just asking.
I think you have a point. I think that's a good way to save money. Like, I send a postcard to that house on the corner right here that's been vacant forever.
Yeah.
It's a waste of money, so I think we should only do whoever responded to the survey. That's the point. Even if it is 250 people, we still have
Yeah,
a
but how
face.
many people do you not have their email to send them a survey? You mean you mailed a survey?
Oh, yeah, the
Every-
survey was mailed out, everyone.
Did you get
Yeah.
one? No, I didn't get one.
Oh, I got
Did-
mine.
I didn't
But
get
you
one.
have my email, so I got an emailed survey.
Did you reply to the email?
Yeah.
Okay, so originally they put the community survey on the website. So anybody who did the survey before, they didn't send the mail until after. So they weren't going to double.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Double the effort.
That's what I thought you did. I don't know. There's so many different ways to miss an email. Like, you hope it wouldn't go to their junk mail. I've missed emails if I get like 200 in a day. Sometimes I miss an email. Sometimes if I see survey, sometimes I get 15 surveys a day and I'm like I don't want to do another survey. Like every time I go to the grocery store or place an order, I get like a 20 question survey. Like sometimes I just get 6 surveys and I don't want to do a survey. But like, I know I would be upset like if there was a party and then I found out like everybody in my block got an invite, but I didn't get an invite. So I don't know. I mean, and then plus we're doing it one time for the whole year, and we're doing all 3 events on the same
Okay.
card. And you know, it's we're not asking for anybody's email or phone number. We're just saying, you know, welcome Bel Air Beach. You know, come join us, enjoy some music. It's kind of like I don't want to say non-threatening. It's just it's like a feel-good thing, and they're invited. And if they don't want to come, that's their choice.
Yeah.
Is kind of how I look at it. I
Okay.
would not send them out for all 3 events. It's too expensive. And then we can maybe put even something on there, like if you want information for more events like this, please give City Hall your email address or something. Maybe you'll get a few more responses or input.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's possible.
I just, like, I don't know. Even when, like, you know, things have been mailed out and you ask people, it's like, oh, did you get that? No. You know, I didn't get that. Can I have a copy of yours? Or, you know, sometimes
Yeah.
for whatever reason, people just don't get everything. It gets lost. I mean, I've mailed 3 checks that never made it to the recipients here. I don't know, it's like crazy. Like, somehow the mail just gets eaten. So I don't know if it's like a lost and some people are ignoring it and they don't want it and they don't want to be bothered, and I understand that. And if, you know, like if the house is closed and we know no one's lived there, that can't be too many. Like if people aren't here because they're snowbirds or they're only here like 2 or 3 months out of the year, then they have their mail forwarded. So then it'll go to their other house, and at least they'll know that the city's having events. Because I know when we were at our other house and there was like a luau or something here, my neighbor next door went and she met a couple people that lived down that way, and she still hangs out with them. She loved it. She loved the event. But she said it was a flyer on her door, and because I wasn't here, I never knew about it. I never knew it happened. And then there's been a couple beach parties that I know that they've had that like, I've never had, any, and I kind of felt like, oh, well, I wonder why I wasn't invited. I don't want anyone to feel like
Some of
that.
those are private.
And some of them
Just
aren't.
groups of people, yeah.
But, it's the, like I was talking to the lady that called me last week, and she said, oh yeah, there's a group of like 30 women, and we used to meet in people's houses. I had 30 women at my house, now we meet at the beach. And I said, well, I was told that was a private event. She said, absolutely not. She goes, that is open to everyone. I said, well, how do you plan on everyone knowing about that? Now with COVID, you can't have it in your house, and it's a different set of circumstances. I'm just repeating what she told me. So, because I said, it's, I've heard of these things, but like, people just assume that they're private. I don't want anyone to think that anything that we're doing is an invite-only, private, like, you can only come if you know somebody. I want everyone to know that this is open for everybody. Because it is. That's what
Cool,
it is. A
every
family
resident.
event for residents.
Yeah,
Huh?
resident, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I hear your
No.
point. I don't want to waste money by any stretch.
No, it was just something to consider. I'm not
Yeah.
saying one way or the other.
Maybe if you literally got back, no, I don't want you to contact.
No, we haven't seen that.
I don't want you to contact me, leave me alone, and maybe we don't send them.
Yeah.
You didn't get that.
Stop bothering me. No, we didn't get any of that.
It was more just an ignore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so. I think your personal networking is going to be the most effective tool to getting people at these events.
Right.
More so than anything coming from the city.
Yeah, and I love, like, people asking questions, people talking about it, but it's like, we need to be unbiased. Like, it's not your personal opinion of what you think, to get people's feedback, because you're, like, leading them. I think it's more like, if they don't feel safe coming to an event because they feel like they're, worried about COVID and they're, even if it's outside and whatever, then, everybody has their own, like, feelings about the way this is going right now. And we just have to respect that, I think. Like, I don't know. Hopefully everyone gets their shots and they feel better. And this ship turns slowly into the right direction.
Yeah.
And then a lot of these conversations, and I agree with you, a lot of people are doing, but I don't feel safe going to those things. I just don't.
If the park board could become the Bel Air Beach Civic Association, something like that, if you could incorporate that name with it, maybe, because that's what the old Civic Association did. It was a network of people that had high interest in the city. They worked with the park board to plan all different things. Santa Claus at Christmas and all, this is the way it was done years ago. They handled the phone book, which fell apart when he retired, but they kept in contact. They were the nucleus for, hey, anybody moved out of the city, they knew about it. They worked with the city, so there was kind of collection of information that went through them. And
no sunshine restrictions.
There was no sunshine at that time either, so you could do
Well,
it.
still now, as long as if it's a civic
Right, as
organization,
long
you
as
wouldn't
it's
be-
separate from,
Would
but
that
Yeah.
be something like this? Could we do the Bel Air Beach Civic Association, have it be the,
Oh, yeah.
it was totally separate, but, if you were able to get a network of people, now that you've started this and you know who it is in the city, then they talk back and forth the network amongst your group and then make it expand.
okay.
Before it was a kind of a intermingling between the city and the Civic Association. At one time, it was part of the city, but because the legal things changed over the years, they had to separate it.
Got it.
So, but it still was going on in a different form. There was still a little back and forth, but not like it was originally.
Like, I know I heard you mention the sunshine laws. Is there like, I mean, obviously I know we can't, but like if it's something that's non-sanctioned and it's more social, like are they allowed to call and talk to each other? Because I mean, obviously, I think for
Yeah.
another like committee that's not allowed to talk to each other unless it's being recorded and
It's only like the ones that are
sanctioned by the city.
sanctioned by the
So the
city, yeah.
civic
That's-
association.
Yeah, that'd be,
That was,
Okay.
that was totally separate.
Now, what about like for this nonprofit? Because it would be something like the Beller Beach, whatever.
right, it would be whatever, that's all it was.
Yeah, it was
a
nonprofit, you know, you charge so much for the phone book or you wanted to donate to the organization, they'd
So
run.
this could be what you're talking
Yeah.
about. That would be great.
And then you could do
Because we're trying
the,
to do it anyway, and that would just, and that's great input because I mean, I don't know when that dissolved, but I didn't know.
Oh, it was, oh my
you
God.
could also get those donations through the funding
Yeah, it was
outside of
years ago.
budget.
Like 15.
George, you remember when that was, when Skip Chittenden left?
Before my time, that's how
Oh,
long ago.
before your time? It's gotta be 2008, somewhere in there,
Okay.
when he retired, and it was kind of disappeared in the thin air.
Okey dokey. All righty. So I know we already actually adjourned. And we're still talking. No, like if
My
we-
big mouth kept it going, I'm
No,
sorry.
that's fine. If the Beller Beach Civic Association was formed and we did all this stuff for the non-for-profit, would you be on the board? Or whatever it's called, the group, the association? Or no?
Is that, you should take the corner route?
Yeah, we still gotta adjourn officially, because I still got the discussion is still part of the meeting. So now we're
Oh,
adjourned.
I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
I'm going to make a motion again to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah.
Can I have a motion? Sorry. No, that's
I
fine.
motion.
Okay, so we got a first, we have a second. Okay, so the meeting is officially
Okay.
adjourned.
All right.